Well, hello there, and welcome to this episode of the Terri Show. You can see, those of you watching on YouTube, that I am not in my regular office. I am in LA doing a bunch of fun things, but I'm also talking about the father wound and father issues because Father's Day is coming up. So, my question for you is, do you ever stand in the card aisle around Father's Day for way, way longer than you'd like to because literally none of the cards that you look at make sense for you in your relationship with your father? This used to be me growing up. There'd be all of these cards who were like, you're the most amazing. You were here for me. You did everything right. And that was not accurate, but I still did want to honor my father on Father's Day. So Father's Day can bring up a lot of hard feelings for people, can bring up a lot of sad feelings for people. So in today's video, I'm talking about a new way, a different way that you can manage Father's Day if you had a father situation that was less than optimal for you, right? So I'm going to go over different things that you can do and ways that you can celebrate and honor sort of what was right about your father or your father figure without being disingenuous about it. So before we get started, if you happen to be new to this channel, please make sure that you introduce yourselves in the comment and don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you get notified every time we roll out something new, which is every Tuesday and every Thursday. And since I make this content for you, and it is free, I really want to make sure that you know it's coming. They have all these statistics on YouTube that you have all of these people. I have so many people watching my stuff. 60% are not subscribed. So it doesn't hurt you or cost you any money to subscribe, but it does help me and my numbers. So please subscribe. All right. I also love to highlight your questions and your comments. I read everything. So this is from Music Addict Etta, and this is under the video, How to Build Self-Worth. And she says, thank you so much for all of your content that you so generously put out there. I just wanted to tell you how great it feels to just listen to you when I'm feeling sad or angry or just repeatedly reminded of the ways things are. Listening to you with all of your compassion and willingness to help just brings me back to a state of peace and being in the present as a whole person. Thank you so much. Wishing you lots of love and happiness always. Well, thank you for taking the time to write that because it does matter to me. Sometimes, you feel like you are sort of talking into a void. I think, which is why I'm so active on this YouTube channel, is because I'm a real person and you guys are real people and we interact like that. It's not just me talking at you, hopefully. It's me caring about what's happening in your life and what's going on. So anyway, thank you so much, Music Addict Ada. I appreciate you. All right, let's move it on into today's content. All right, Father's Day. I can tell you growing up, it's like we didn't know that much about my father, honestly, because he was a hard person to know, but we knew he liked golf. So we always, every single year, gave him something that was golf related. Golf balls and golf tees and maybe a golf shirt and all the things. But it's one of those situations where it really wasn't personalized because we actually didn't know him very well. If Father's Day is painful for you for any reason, there are things that you can do to grieve, to mourn, to honor the complex emotion that this day evokes for many people. You're not alone if this is how you feel. I get so many people writing into me saying, everyone wants to celebrate, but I don't feel like celebrating, or my heart is broken, because it could be that you had a wonderful father, but maybe they passed away. So I'm going to give you, in this episode, we're going to talk about ways that you can properly honor how you're feeling, the truth of how you're feeling, rather than feeling like you need to put on a front or act like you feel great about it when you don't feel great about it. So one thing we need to do is mourn the dream of who we wished our father had been, like the father figure that we wished we had. I remember talking to my therapist when I was in college still. I think I was a senior in college. And I was just lamenting, like, why couldn't my father just be the father that I wanted? Why couldn't he? He had 4 daughters. Why couldn't he be like modern dads are now, where they're so pumped to be like girl dad hashtag? That wasn't the way it was. And he certainly wasn't that way. And I remember her saying to me, Terri, if you need him to come in a certain package, because I really wanted that warm and fuzzy dad. She's like, you're going to continue to be frustrated forever, basically. He's not going to change in that way. Is it possible that we could shift your perspective about him. And I was like, well, what do you mean? And she said, can you list right now, tell me the ways that your father was able to care about you? He was able to provide for you. He was able to show you love. Like, because again, I wanted that love to come in this warm and fuzzy pink package of like father-daughter dances. You know what I mean? Which it did not. But she really challenged me to think, it wasn't all bad with my father. He was a dutiful person. He provided for us. He didn't leave the family. And so she challenged me. And I remember I came in the next week with my list of like, what are the things my father did that made me feel loved? Like, could I feel loved by the things he did? I said, well, he paid for college. So my undergraduate work, I didn't have any loans, which I think is very loving. Bought me a used car. He fixed my teeth, which I think is also pretty damn nice of him. And he used to always say, when I would leave his house, once my parents got divorced and when I was driving, I would go visit him. And as I was pulling off, he would always yell into the distance, strap in, you know? And those were the things that I could think of. I mean, I got other things from him by watching him be successful and a hard worker and honest. Both of my parents, very honest, decent, sort of country folks that moved away from the country, but directly in direct relation to what Bev had challenged me to do. Those are the things that I came up with. So I wonder if you had a similar situation to me. Can you feel loved by the ways that your father or your father figure were actually capable of loving you? So that's one thing. And don't worry, I'll have all of this in the guide, terricole.com/guide. And you guys also know the Father Wound course is starting soon. So if you're interested in checking that out, go to terricole.com/Father Wound. And I would love to have you join us. It's going to be amazing. Okay, the first thing is, can you feel loved by the things they could do? That's going to be one thing. The next thing is about mourning the dream. So I kind of got derailed, but we're back to mourning the dream of the father figure you wished you had. So how do we do this? Identify childhood disappointments that you had with your, well, sometimes I'll say parental impact or father figure, because I'm not really just talking about your father, because it might have been a grandfather that raised you or an uncle or a foster father, you know. So what are the disappointments? And then you're going to journal what actually happened and then what you wish had happened, right? So we're basically honoring those childhood wishes of it being different. Be specific about your feelings and really have compassion for the child that you were and the adult that you are, because it is painful and it is disappointing, right? You want to share what you wrote with a compassionate friend, someone who's not going to give you advice because you don't need advice, someone who's not going to, give you their 2 cents on all of it because you don't need it. We would just want someone who's going to listen without judgment. And now you're going to tear the pages out of your journal and you're going to light them on fire somewhere safe. We're basically ritualistically burning. It's a powerful way to release things energetically, right? So we're releasing those past disappointments by doing it that way. And if you can't safely burn them anywhere, then I'll ask you to rip them up and get rid of them that way. And then we're going to talk about your downloaded father blueprint, right? So your unique blueprint with your father. This is created from the beliefs, the values, the ideas, and the behaviors that you learned growing up, and the experiences, the actual lived experiences that you had. So the first step to healing is acknowledging and honoring how you feel and what really happened in your young life. When we do the questions, and you'll see this because this is included in the guide, it's like, how was the fatherhood itself viewed in your family of origin? Was it revered? Was it respected? Was it degraded? Was it minimized? Because every family system has their own norms. It's not just societal norms that we're influenced by. We're most influenced by the family of origin stuff. And it might be something different, right? We were afraid of my father. So in a way, we respected my father, but in general, there was a lack of respect for men a little bit in my family of origin growing up. Lots of women being like, well, you know how men are, basically saying men were not great, which I grew up and then rejected that. Again, back to the blueprint, did fathering involve being overly involved or absent? from the day-to-day struggles and experiences of the children, or was it something different? Right? With my father, he was absolutely absent from the day-to-day stuff. So as kids grow, you become further and further apart from that parent. A lot of us experienced one of our parents as the default parent, meaning the one who was responsible for basically all the things. And that was certainly my mother in my experience. And it may be different for you, but this is the stuff that we're going to be excavating in this, what you're doing in the guide, but also what we dive deep into in the father wound course, because we are all so different. Every person's experience is so different. And there's really no right and wrong per se. It's just, did we get what we needed or did we not? That's really what we're talking about. Was your father or father figure critical? Were they caring? Were they capable? Were they incompetent? Were they immature emotionally? Because those things happen too. Were they forgiving? Were they punishing? Something different? Was there open and effective communication? Was there open problem solving? Like if something was wrong, could you go to your father? I mean, in my situation, it was all about don't tell him anything. And it was like me, my 3 older sisters, and my mother. It was us and our dog. She was a girl too, all on one side, and then my poor father on the other side by himself. My father passed away many years ago. In hindsight, I really feel bad that he was in so many ways so alone. And he was so emotionally ill-equipped to deal with having 4 emotional daughters, 4, in some ways acting out daughters. Just 4 daughters is a lot, I think, for anybody. And we were very close in age. It was probably, there was only 6 years between and all 4 of us. You know what I mean? Anyway, your situation, I'm sure, is totally different than that. But it matters, which is why we honor that blueprint, because what your situation was actually is how we're going to figure out what you need to do to get better, to heal the father wound if you have one. Back to Father's Day, though, there are 3 different ways that I just came up with, something different that you can honor your feelings on Father's Day instead of sort of forcing yourself to be in a situation you don't want to be in or trying to force yourself to be happy. You can celebrate an adult who influenced your life, someone who did show up for you, right? Is there an adult who was in your life when you were a child who was there for you? Could have been a teacher, could have been a school counselor, maybe a neighbor, a team coach, an uncle, grandfather. If so, do something special to thank them for who they were to you in your life, because really we need those people who are, they sort of step into the vacuum that an absent or not great parent leaves for a kid. You can take them out for a special meal, right? Or have a coffee date, spend quality time with them doing something that they love to do. Send a card with a note of gratitude, right? It doesn't even have to be a big thing. It's just focusing on the love and care that you did receive while you were growing up can be really healing, even if it wasn't from the person that we wish it was. Second thing you can think about doing if you're a parent who has a partner is to celebrate your partner. Is your partner a great father or father figure to the kids? Then celebrate. Do something special with your children for your partner, right? Reflect on what you've accomplished together. Like if you choose a partner who can show up for your kids, then think about like how amazing that is when you didn't have that behavior modeled for you, but you somehow figured it out on your own and maybe through therapy and maybe just because you wanted the opposite of what you experienced. But it is deeply healing to not pass that father wound on to the next generation, right? Your child will not have the same painful experiences that you had, which is really something to truly celebrate, right? You're a badass. You're a cycle breaker if you're doing that. And that's something that should feel good to you. You're sparing your kid the pain of having a father wound. And the third thing you could think about doing is just practice self-compassion, right? You may stay away from the internet on Father's Day if it's a painful thing, if it provokes or evokes painful feelings for you, just to protect yourself from all the Father's Day posts and the newsletters. Instead, just dial into your needs. Like, what is it that you need to feel better? What would be soothing to you? Do you want to be alone? Then plan that kind of a day. Do you want to be with friends? Then plan that kind of a day. You want to hang out with your furry puppy? Then do that. You want to be out in nature? Then do that. Think of what might feel nourishing and indulge in joyful activities And you can also journal how you're feeling, right? You can journal through the grief, and you may be feeling grief because you had a great dad who passed away, right? That so many people get in touch and say, it's so painful. My father was my best friend, or my father was, and I'm like, wow, that really moves me. It's interesting. When you have a father wound, I find that I have a sensitivity to sweet father-daughter things. If I see anything on the interwebs where it's the father I wished I had, it always chokes me up, but not in a terrible way, in a way that it makes me so happy that it does exist out there in the world. And, I partnered with someone who is a great dad, and I have sons, not daughters, but there is definitely something healing in watching Vic, my husband, with our grown kids and with our grandkids as well, because he is a very devoted, in a different way, like more present than my own father was able to be. And what I want to leave you with this thought is that if you feel like you have a father wound, you can heal this. You don't need a father or father figure to be present or to participate to heal. So check out terricole.com/father wound if you're thinking about joining us for the father wound course, which I really hope that you are, because it is one of the most profoundly liberating things to do in your life is to heal from this injury, because you may not be aware of all of the ways that having a father wound just ripples out into not just your romantic relationships, but your friendships and your work, because so much of what happens when we have father wounds is it really crushes our self-esteem. It really messes with that deeply held sense of self. And that's something that if we're going to be as successful as we can be, if we're going to have the relationships we want, we need to get right with ourselves. And so for so many people, if this means you have a father wound, it means getting healthier from the father wound. So I've given you a bunch of stuff in the guide for this week. Go to terricole.com/guide if you want to walk through these steps. And father wound, if you want to join the father wound course, go to terricole.com/father wound. And I will look forward to seeing you on the inside. In the meantime, thank you so much for spending time with me this week. I always appreciate it. And as always, take care of you.